your election day guide. Coming up next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break.
Anybody want coffee? Anybody?
Well, it's the day before our elections here in the United States. Emotions are running really high with everyone. Everyone has their opinion, and of course, everyone is right, according to their own values and their own hearts. And there are a lot of people commenting. Facebook has gotten ugly, as you know, and people are choosing their friends according to how they're voting. And you know, it's a big problem here. And those of you that are in other parts of the world, you see what's going on here. It's an important election. I understand that. There's a lot of things to be determined. I talked about this weekend here at Sanctuary. And I talked a little bit about, you know, what's ahead and what's our response. And I told a story that I want to repeat to you, one that I've remembered for a lot of years. In fact, 62 years. So a long time ago, when I was 10 years old, and I almost feel like starting by saying, you know, long ago in a land far, far away. Yeah, but it was like that. I was about 10 years old. And for a few years, we lived in California during the winter and then went back to Montana for the farming the rest of the year. So we spent a few months every year in California, and I attended school there for that period of time. And interesting time. But I remember we were in the middle of an election. Can you hear my chimes? You can probably hear my chimes as well as you can hear me. Yeah, the wind is in full force today. So we were in the middle of an election, and they were voting for governor in California during the time. And I don't even remember who it was at this point. But I knew who my dad was voting for. And then one of the girls at our bus stop, her dad was voting for somebody else. And we were both, of course, defending our fathers, because my dad's smarter than your dad, and, you know, like that. And so every day we'd get to the bus stop and we'd argue, you know, no, you're wrong. And it was the first argument I remember about election day. Well, election day came. The guy that my dad voted for won the election. And I couldn't wait for the next day to go to that bus stop and rub her face in it. And say, see, my guy won, and, you know, ha, 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 like you do when you're 10 years old. So I told my dad, I said, I'm anxious to tell her. And my dad said, you know, what the best thing to do would be to not even mention it. Don't even talk about it. Unless she brings it up, don't talk about it. And if she brings it up, change the subject. He said, if you want to keep her as a friend, don't talk about it. Talk about something else and cultivate your friendship instead. Well, that was hard to do, but I did. I went to the bus stop. I didn't bring it up. She didn't bring it up. We never talked about it again, and we were good friends at the bus stop. So it taught me something important. And you understand the correlation here. It taught me that, you know, there's a lot more to friendship than just who you're voting for and rubbing someone's face in that. And right now, this is a lot worse. There are people that aren't talking to each other because of the election and how they're voting. There are people that are they've cut off friendships. And I had a friend that told me, you know, getting loud. I had a friend that told me, I can't have a friend like you, who would vote for this kind of a person. And he cut off my friendship. And it's a friendship that I had for decades. Yeah. Very sad how that happens. But here's some scripture I wanted to give to you. And it's found in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 2 and 3. And it says, with all humility, forsaking self-righteousness and gentleness, maintaining self-control with patience, bearing with one another in unselfish love. Make every effort to keep the oneness of the Spirit in the bond of peace, each individual working together to make the whole successful. What do we do? Tomorrow here in the United States is election day. And how do you handle it, folks? You become a peacemaker. If you have to not talk about it, then don't talk about it. And if you talk about things, you agree to disagree, and you agree that there are things more important than election results. And can I just say that this election, I've noticed more than anything, it's not about politics. It's about personal ideologies. Many times it's about good versus evil. It's about a whole lot of things. But folks, as long as we stick to the scripture, as long as the scripture is our guide and the election manuals that they hand out that are guiding us to how people believe and all of that, that's not your manual as much as this is. And the Bible is our guide, and it's so important that after this election is over tomorrow, that we really understand our foundations. It's important we do that today. But begin to prepare to be a peacemaker. That God would use you to promote peace, no matter how the election comes out. That you would be God's peacemaker. Folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.